The G20 foreign ministers meeting took place against a backdrop of rising tensions between some G20 member states, conflicts, trade war concerns, and political uncertainties. At the conclusion of the two-day meeting, Ronald Lamola, South Africa's International Relations and Cooperations Minister, told the media that the ministers who had gathered for the meeting agreed to support all efforts towards a just peace in areas experiencing conflicts.
Concerning the ongoing conflict and wars in Africa, the Middle East and Europe, the meeting reiterated that all states must act in a manner consistent with the purpose and principles of the UN Charter. Affirmed that all parties in conflicts must comply with their obligations under law, including international humanitarian law and international human rights law. Guided by these principles, there was agreement to support all efforts towards a just peace in Ukraine, Palestine, Sudan, the DRC, and other major conflicts across the globe.
Some of the ministers who attended the G20 meeting expressed their concerns about these conflicts, but in particular the one between Ukraine and Russia. They called for the fighting to stop and for a fair resolution to be established through dialogue and negotiations, one that can set an important precedent for the future.
Well, Ukraine discussed during this G20 meeting, starting with the statement of President Ramaphosa, who said that it was not acceptable for Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity to be violated, not only because of Ukraine itself and its destiny, but also because this capitulation of Ukraine today would set a terrible example for every country in the world that would then be under the threat of the predation by its bigger neighbor. Is this the world in which we want to live? Or do we want to live in a world where sovereignty and territorial integrity are respected and where therefore disagreements, disputes are settled in a peaceful way? I think the overarching majority of members of the G20 believe that these differences should be settled in a peaceful way and that violations to
As a European country, I am worried, and I think I speak for many European countries, that trying to impose peace on Ukraine without their presence and without their consent is worrying. And I think people who have experienced colonialism and apartheid would recognize that we should be done with those times where great powers divide borders without asking the people who live there. And this is a relic of what we don't like.
The ministers also agreed on the need to support and recognize that African voices need to be heard and elevated in the work of the G20. Meanwhile, the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Li held a number of bilaterals on the sidelines of the G20 meeting. The minister met with ministers from South Africa, India, Algeria, Angola, and Australia. The final report from this meeting will be for adoption at the G20 Shepherd's or Ministers' Special Advisors meeting that will take place in November. Yolisa Njamela for CGTN in Johannesburg, South Africa.